Alrighty, the beast has been, well, fed toward the food. Not quite sated yet. That's the first word that came into mind. Oh gosh. D11 Yaktar. Please no game. How hard do you kick? You still hit pretty hard, even in melee combat. I don't love that. 44 health. It's not too big of an obstacle to overcome, especially since I can kind of dance out of the way here. Using a mixture of Ashinsari's Sight and our extremely strong nose here. That does concern me, though. Because if we run into that Yaktar in a slightly worse situation, where we don't have the nice little corridor to hide in as a cubby hole, things might take a very drastic change for the worse here. And how about, well, we think about it. Let's do something that I've totally forgotten in the first hour and a half of the stream here. And I need to post the seed to the screen here, just in case anybody wishes to play along concurrently or even just on their own in the future. So let's pop that bad boy in. Perfect. And there we go. Such a hit or miss whether I remember to account for that whatsoever. Not any other great stairways, seeing as how all of them were still discovered, even though we hadn't gone through too much. Always have polymorph. Oh my gosh, you're right. We were just talking about it, and I still instantaneously discounted it. Shows how little I respect the polymorph spell. But let's see what it would do to us here. So if we cast polymorph, change this buddy into a cyclops, an orb spider, or a jumping spider. Not great options, if I'm being honest. Unfortunately, the majority of these are still equally as big of a threat from a ranged perspective, which is kind of what I was hoping to be able to alleviate with the lucky polymorph here. But could bring this buddy in to melee combat. We probably do have the tools to take them out as long as we can close that gap. Get them kicking instead of shooting. So let's do it. They still can't see us, so they will pop around the corner. No, they'll do the smart thing. That's too bad. But there we go. Managed to close the distance. And switch over to a sword instead. 20 damage plus the rapier is a significantly lower amount of damage, all things considered. Can bring in a Dalj friend, and there we go. Not too bad if we're able to get through the door. I actually expected that to go a lot worse, which is why we resisted the temptation to do that exact plan on the first go around. Let's see. OTR is pretty much my go-to here. Unfortunately, have a friendly dog in the way. We have not explored nearly enough of this room. That was way scarier than I would have liked. Wow, you last a long time, hey bud? I guess our spell level has been going up. And, question becomes, do I want to try and take out this two-headed ogre? Fortunately, slightly less scarier than the previous one, because this one has just two regular giant clubs, no spike clubs here, so that's solid. Still slightly worrying, to say the least, but let's do it. And unfortunately, Hound, you're going to get a little bit poisoned. Never mind, not really. The tiniest bit before disappearing. You're suggesting Vapors, because his Vapor's more efficient, definitely more mana efficient. I guess we can look at power levels. 66% versus the 31. Let's try it out, shall we? Should even have been bringing in a Hound or two in order to help us out. We're definitely not dying in one hit. Still double checking in case I'm way off in my mental calibrations. That's much better. Ooh, you're scary. No cold resistance on us yet, so this buddy is going to hit like a truck. Susceptible to fire at least, so we could try and throw out an early blast of that. What else? What else? It is fast, so that's not going to be great for running away. As long as I can gain a little bit of distance, we should be able to just melt them, and indeed we do. Perfect. Definitely looking a little too smooth. Or going a little too smoothly, I should say. Ready for that other shoe to drop any day now. But it does help getting a lucky start in terms of some of the finds here. Both some of the equipment, I guess largely being this wonderful mace that we've grabbed a hold of, but also in terms of spells, just finding OTR alone is all I can really ask for in a run. Especially on a Gnoll, because the inability to get some of the higher level spells castable means that we'll probably be resorting on an OTR Ignite Poison combo slightly more than somebody who otherwise might be training in fire magic. Because normally you're looking to have Ignition by the times you get to somewhere like Vaults, but fortunately, most of the buddies that we find in Vaults are not resistant to poison. So we are able to use an OTR Ignite Poison combination as a bit of a poor person's Ignition. And let's see, Troll already defeated one of them, but still was ready for that fight to turn south real quick. Fortunately, not the case. And so we can just continue going, waiting to hit a wall. It's going to happen eventually, and we're going to have to start panicking and immediately trying to take ourselves up to a slightly more manageable area of the dungeon. But I'm ready to be proven wrong, game. Don't get me wrong there. We ignored the last curse that was offered because it was melee weapons and ranged weapons. Ranged weapons, oh, actually probably did affect throwing, now that I think about it, which that would have been awesome for me. But we're getting to the stage now where a lot of these are almost at their min delay skill requirements. That's the phrase that my brain was struggling to pin down on. So getting close to that stage. So we're not quite as much in need of the melee weapon boosts. In this case, though, we're getting Fortitude and Evocations again, so it's another boost to our defensive skills, which I do love. Maybe this one we will throw in our shield, because we were debating that the last time we had this upgrade. And that way we have two different kind of fallback points for keeping around these bonuses. And plus it helps us wear that shield slightly better here, bringing us up over 10, which should bring us down to 0.8. Yeah, so nice point in our attack delay here. We're not yet at min delay with our mace, but again getting close, and only slightly getting punished by our untrained skills here. Not too bad. Ooh, early gargoyle, hey? You have any spells? Do have Stone Arrow, I thought so. That's gonna hit decently hard here. I would like to have something like LRD here. Unfortunately, this is one of the few beasties that our poisonous attacks aren't going to be quite as useful on. I can continually bring in some more friends though, and we should be able to gang up together. Perfect. It's also got our first wolf showing up there, which is pretty exciting. It's nice to get ourselves into a slightly stronger position in terms of which allies we can bring in, maybe something that will survive more than a single turn against most of the creatures that we're coming across. Especially since that might be one of our go-to solutions for retreating from Hydras and Lair. Because an early Hydra, or at least a Hydra when you're not completely prepared to deal with it, is a very brutal thing. But providing we can put some obstacles in the way and just run away, then we should be all good. To at the very least retreat back to a safe stairwell or something in that department. Nice. Looking at our floor here, going down from 12, it's getting to the point where I need to start thinking about maybe heading to Lair, somewhere slightly safer. Especially as we saw just how much damage a cold branded ugly thing does to us. Ooh, which actually I should take you upstairs so that we have as much retreat path as we could possibly need, with a bit of difference being whether I remember the outlook is what I was going to say, but the layout is what I was trying to grasp in my brain. And I immediately show that we do not have a good idea of the layout, needing to take another step there before we run our way into a dead end. Let's check, make sure this door is open before we do much more of the same here, and perfect. Maybe more painful and more intensive than it needs to be. We could be in a totally fine spot to take that buddy on, but rather be safe than sorry, especially when we're so close to getting the unlocks that I am hoping for to get to the end of the game here. Let's see. What else? Right, I was thinking of the curse that we were offered. I don't know, do I have any more equipment? Just my necklace, huh? So again, probably not ranged combat. The throwing bonus is pretty huge and will be used depending on our spell situation for the rest of the game. Actually, not even depending on our spell situation, because no matter what, if we don't have to divert experience away from spellcasting into throwing, it's always going to be worth it to have that as a backup for when we're low on mana, or maybe saving our mana for specific encounters. That and evocations, huh? I do like me my evocations, and the game knows that. I guess the one thing we can do is open up our skills and think for a moment about what would maybe be chosen over those options to put onto our necklace. Most of the spellcasting ones, especially like elemental, might be nice. Alchemy would be nice, except that we at least have OTR castable now, so I'm happy to let poison magic just kind of putter in the background and instead maybe get some of the required skills to get like high-powered fire magic online by the time we start running into some of those later game things. I think I will leave this curse out on the lurch for now. Let's see, you buddies definitely immune to poison, that makes sense. Let's just try and drag you out one at a time here. Oh, you don't follow upstairs? Oh yeah, you do. Just got a little scared, it looked like. And there we go, though. Much more manageable group instead of letting ourselves get completely surrounded. Ooh, interesting. Plus the Arbalest Ogre's Undoing. Fortunately, it's nothing too tempting. And I say fortunately because otherwise, as a Gnoll, it's so much harder to have excuses not to try and use some fancy weapon or something like that. But a two-handed Arbalest when we already have our shield cursed and doesn't truly make the most sense. And this is a scary two-headed ogre in terms of wielded weapons. Last one went pretty smoothly. We're nothing if not stronger than since then. So let's maybe get it started. Bring this buddy out. Can also now bring in our friend now that I've remembered that we have poisonous vapors, and we can instead be using that to kind of start off the softening up journey here without forcing our hound to get hit, that is. Bring in another of these bad boys. Hello, friend. You're doing great work, kiddos. Perfect. Much safer way to deal with a scary melee enemy than I'm usually forced to deal with, and another scary enemy. Slightly less overall damage coming in each turn here. We can just hide from the rock part of it. Maybe start OTR just so that when they pop the corner here, we can be auto-radiating extra damage, bring in a buddy as well. Perfect. Oh geez, more Cyclops, hey? Let's try and sneak up on this one and just do much more of the same. Not too bad. Here's where things get interesting. Should I test my metal against a 5-headed Hydra? We're definitely in a slightly better place AC-wise than would otherwise be expected from a spellcaster at this stage in the game. But unfortunately, most of our spells that we are sacrificing even some AC for are useless against this specific enemy. We have a decent amount of acid, a decent number of flame charges, I guess. These are dealing 2d9 now. So that's getting there, you know, definitely still will take quite a few hits to bring down a Hydra, of all things. Let's maybe use this as a bit of a test. This is one of the lower number of heads that could otherwise be expected when we make our way down into lair, so if we can't take this buddy out in these controlled circumstances, maybe that will tell us something about the efficacy of the combat in the future. In fact, that should do it. Perfect. You love to see it. Oh my gosh. A Windrake this early? No, don't do this to me, game. I've had such good luck so far with out-of-depth monsters. Actually, what was your health? 60? Oof, that's more than I would like. Up to 3d16 with Ice Blast, so ideally could take it down in 2. And I do prefer that over the acid charge, if just because these buddies are very evasive. But I should have thought a bit more before jumping into the fight, because this isn't a fight we can really retreat out of. And it was a shapeshifter. I should have probably assumed that to start off here, because it was a weird place to find a Windrake, but I wasn't sure if that was just an out-of-depth thing or an out-of-branch thing completely. Seeing as how, yeah, we'd normally find those buddies in shoals and not here. But interesting, we do learn statue form. That maybe changes some of our future plans here, because we don't have to worry as much about replacing our armor. We can instead resort on statue form for taking care of our AC needs, which I do love. Just need a bit of transmutation and earth. Guess we should also take a look at the last offered curse here. This one has fortitude, which is pretty solid defense skills in general. You know, less so now that, based on what I just said, because don't need the armor as much anymore, and we've already gone over the fact that shields has a bit of diminishing returns once we get past the required point. And conjurations, hexes, translocations, probably not quite what we're looking for this game. So keep it going. Try and sneak up to this buddy. Perfect. Oops, I actually meant to bring in a dog. I'll wait till our toxic aura ends so that we don't take out our own little wolfy pal. But as long as we can get into melee combat with the Centaur Warrior here, I wasn't too concerned. A bit more so when we start to get surrounded by all of these buddies. Let's maybe retreat to this hallway. Perfect. That's slightly better. Not too bad. Ooh, list. Remove the willpower ring from our previous shopping list. I think so. And we will just pick up this one. And this might be our first time to break the chains, because I do think a willpower ring is worth it. Get rid of the strength ring that we've been lugging around and using so far, and just switch over to that bad boy, because we haven't found any other sources of willpower. And in fact, if we take a look here, resistances are definitely lacking. As much as I've been talking about how lucky we've been in a lot of regards in this game, resistances, not so much. We can at least get poison resistance and electricity resistance from statue form when we eventually get that online. Jeez Louise. Let's maybe hold off on it for now. And we'll instead just wait. What do I want? I want to close that door. Perfect. But we will wait for now until we find ourselves in a situation where we actively need more willpower. Okay. Oh, we saw the Tengu through a wall. Was this just a warrior or regular Tengu buddy? It was a warrior. So less scary than a Reaver or something like that, but we're definitely getting to the heavy hitters at this floor of the dungeon. Another ring of protection. This one we will probably just yoss away here, and I guess, yeah, no point, right? I was wondering, I was pretty sure the game would warn us. Always worth checking out, just in case I've missed that a specific spell like has a chance to bypass poison resistance or anything like that. And there we go. So options wise here, we could head down to D14, I don't feel too scared of. D15, I will probably hold off on because I don't want a really scary entrance to depths vault to show up. But yeah, I think we will. Instead, just head towards Lair now. We're just about that point. I've been holding the Staff of Poison because I'm used to always picking one of those up as a nice option for poison resistance, but it's less likely, I guess, with an Ash follower, especially if we do plan on cursing our weapon. That's a tough one. I guess still carry it around just in case we really don't find any options in our future and we do have to get a bit creative. But yeah, I think I've decided in the intervening time that we should probably head up to Lair now. Should be alright against any of the weaker hydras that we may run into. This was not the floor with the 7-headed hydra, or was it? Was that? Oh, that was what was over here. Scary. Don't like that. But as long as we don't get any 6 or 7-headed hydras, we have shown our capability to at least deal with one 5-headed buddy. And we'll see how the rest of this goes. Speaking of which, hello 5-headed hydra. Perfect. I guess we didn't even really get into trying out our throwing weapons and whatnot, because do actually have a decent amount of power in that department, all things considered. That dog got taken out way more quickly than I otherwise might have liked. Still have Erica to take out when you're ready. Indeed, and that might be when we want to do the switch over to willpower. Ideally, before we take her out though, we will find a source of resistance to poison, whether that be an item or the ability to cast statue form. Oh jeez, all the yawns are hitting me all of a sudden. But as for this Hydra pal, I guess we can just bring in another friend to distract it. I was kind of hoping the wolf would be spawned on the side somewhere where the Hydra didn't have to walk through them to get to us, because I want somebody to just potentially give the Hydra the confused state of having to face enemies on the other side. But all is well, and let's instead just start blasting probably. Throwing weapons did go all right, but I think I'm happy to add some corrosion to the mix. And then we can even switch over to throwing for a little bit and then surround with a wolf and I. Perfect. Ideally, that's about how each and every one of our Hydra encounter goes. Wistful thinking, definitely, but man can hope, right? So I will. Oh, and here we go, another vision here, companions and evocations. So again, summoning and necromancy, not great. Evocations, I do like as a curse reward, but we'll hold off for the time being, because if we curse our necklace, it's something that's likely to be sticking around for a while. Oh wow, this is a beautiful situation. Just let the poison run its course. Perfect. Smite targeting, just too strong. Hopefully the game didn't overhear me, because I need all the extra help I can get. Too strong is just strong enough for me. And let's see. So yeah, cane toads is another enemy that unfortunately has decent poison resistance. And one of the advantages that I haven't really even been thinking of, because I'm so used to slapping on heavier armor on my gnolls, is the fact that our stealth score is actually pretty freaking solid. In fact, if we take a look at the screen, we're up to, just 4 pips, so it's definitely a largely luck-based thing so far in terms of how many monsters we've been able to sneak up to without getting taken up on the way. Okay, Sonya. Start with a spawn, and then we'll use our smite summoning to just continually override her inability to hit us, even though end up she just teleported next to us. I was originally planning to use the wolf a little bit more to block Kirari needles and whatnot, but she just wants to fight face to face. I guess that works just fine for us too. And we'll just stack up the poison, turn a corner, Oh, and I think we even, on the way to around the corner, got the notification of experience. But nice, we'll keep it moving through lair. The first floor definitely going fairly smoothly. Evocations and ranged combat. Sorry, Ashinzari. These are all things that we've specifically mentioned not being interested in. Don't get me wrong. Ashinzari, I do really want to fill out that final slot. Cursed equipment. When I say final slot, but we don't even have boots yet. So, never mind. Scratch that. Okay, we definitely woke up both of these buddies. But I could afford to just take the Hydra upstairs with us. So let's Wand of Flame a few times. It's slightly quieter than some of our other wands here. And as soon as we get them to the stairs, we can then retreat and deal with things the usual way, which mainly involves bringing in a companion, and then the two of us just slapping away. Perfect. Probably going to take a different stairway down, especially I'll go to an unexplored one, because I'm not a huge fan of fighting off the snake buddies right away. Probably will have to do so, and it's not likely that we'll find too many game changers before then, but one can always hope. Ooh. This makes things interesting, though. Catoplebis. Calcifying Fog. So no matter what, I do have to move here. But we could just run away and hope that we can deal with anything that comes up to us. I mean, if we take a peek, this is the snake entrance, which they could start funneling out of, but as long as we make sure to go more of a rightward direction without going down too much, that shouldn't be a problem. And I guess this is all fairly explored. So I think I will, and in fact, getting to use all the yaks as fodder to just clog up the hallway works out just fine for me. Hey, you, pal. You can hit all 7 range with that, eh? That's too bad. I was kind of thinking that ideally we could just poison from afar like this. But instead, just have to fight this buddy a little bit more manually here. Ooh, this is not a good position. No, fortunately the calcifying fog clouds alleviate just in time. Never want to be in a place where you have to walk through clouds in order to escape, because who knows how long they're going to stick around for. But it seems so far like all is just fine. Come on, poison. Oh no, I put myself in a poor position here. Oof. I think we're still good. The Catoplebis should be down or dead right away. So I'm going to just start Ogum's Toxic Radiance as we turn to stone. Oh, I expected it to take out the yak as the yak came charging towards us, but apparently the yak forgot we existed. Don't have the greatest object permanence, those yaks, which I'm very thankful for. But there we go. It's definitely one of the tougher fights or encounters to come across early on here. And dang, Urug alone I think I could take, but Battle Axe of Distortion I do not like to see. Unfortunately, I do not want to get tangled up at all in possible banishment here. So, do I even want to fight you? Can at least leave a string of summons between us if we do run away here. In fact, we should be able to just use a combination of poison and distractions. She'll still be able to throw javelins here, but at the end of the day, I'm much more concerned with that axe. So if she wants to throw javelins all the livelong day, don't mind if you do. Perfect. Able to take her out without too much trouble. That's a fight that I've many times in the past just walked into, waded in without paying any attention to the brand on the weapon, but fortunately, this is the one time that we made sure. Oh, and sorry, Wolf, you're definitely getting poisoned here. It's by far the most efficient way for us to deal with all these dang old Blinky pals. Perfect. Seeing through walls thing is still so interesting. Only slightly painful when it just happens to get in the way of convenient crawling, but it will most likely save our lives more times than it will brush up against that mild annoyance. So I don't know about you, but I probably put hours of effort and work and fictional death, but still death in a sense, at a slightly worse level than mild annoyance. And let's see, alchemy and introspection. See, that's a more tempting curse there. Fighting and spellcasting both being relatively useful the whole way. Spellcasting, I guess both of them giving us our health pool and mana point pool respectively. Spellcasting also helping us out with the ability to cast any school of spell just a little bit, I believe. Alchemy, though, how interested am I? Poison magic will increase the power level of OTR, and I guess transmutations is very useful because that we are trying to work our way towards statue form here. I think I will take this curse. I'm worried that I'll have instant regret as the next curse that's offered to us is incredible. Because again, the Necklace of Reflection is liable to be with us for quite the extended point or period of time. Which I guess is when we'll probably need those two skills. So it's probably more appropriate that I'm giving it credit for. And let's put that onto our necklace. We can even see we're up to 90% poison vapors, 45% in OTR. Not too bad. So we immediately run into a monster that is completely unfazed by our poison, but once we're past there, it'll definitely be exceptionally useful. And in fact, I didn't fully internalize the fact that we got Snake here instead of... Wait, is it Snake and Spider? Is it Snake? Oh, it is Snake and Spider and Shoals and Swamp. So never mind. Scratch that, what I was about to say. Because I'm actually hoping that we get Shoals this run through. Gives us a lot of throwing ammunition, and OTR just wreaks havoc. It's absolutely incredible in terms of being able to take out all the monsters in Shoals. I guess we could have hoped to get Spider as well instead of Snake, because in the same way, OTR would have just mopped the floor with the majority of that branch. But honestly, this is a good mix, and we at least have the potential for more shops. You believe I had boots that I can purchase if I'm worried about not having a curse target? That is true, and the boots were about 150, and we've actually been saving up for a bit here. 130, okay, so a little bit off. So that's a tough one. Unfortunately, the game has given me far too many good things to buy. I think over buying just a regular pair of boots, I'd probably be looking at more blink scrolls, some heal wounds potions. Yeah, especially, I guess to put it into perspective for myself, we can see that a pair of boots is just slightly over a potion of haste. And I will always rather have a potion of haste than a pair of standard boots. The curse target thing is very true. But, we can probably wait until we have slightly more capital. What your comment did definitely do is remind me that we should probably go around and buy some of this crap. So let us head to the potion store first, since it's a little bit closer here. And looking, we have a few cure wounds, but could use more. We have no haste. So we could also buy one of those. We want to keep just over 100 for the blink scroll. So definitely buy both of these, and we could also potentially buy... No, we cannot afford another potion of heal wounds. Right, that's not how math works. I think I was thinking about the potion of curing. Yeah, there we go. But more so the 40 coin marker. But that's all good. We'll buy those, and then I think I will buy another blink scroll. Me being maybe a little bit overcautious just in regard to the fact that we already have enough of these stacks for the time being. Sure, we'll always want more beautiful escape consumables and stuff like that. But with 4 blinking scrolls, you're fairly likely to be able to chain blink your way out of any situation, unless it would have killed you already. But we'll still just play it a little bit safe here. Make sure I have those in my back pocket and I don't forget that they exist whatsoever. That would be nice. Okie dokie. Let us continue the old exploring here. Immediately drop a couple of those rings. It's funny, a lot of the times as a Gnoll, one of the very much in quotations downsides, because it's not really that much of a downside, is the inventory management side of things, because when you can all of a sudden use every piece of equipment you find, it's a lot harder to throw anything away. But fortunately, with Ash and Zari, we're much more likely to be leaving a trail of small equipment pieces throughout our entire journey, if just because we don't need to carry around all the rings that we could switch back and forth from, as we want to keep at least a few slots cursed. With maybe an exception to that being, at a certain stage, it's better to have a free ring slot. We don't have to have all of our slots cursed all the time, and it might be nice depending on what kind of rings we find and what kind of bonuses we do or do not need, or I guess resistances as well that we do or do not need. A combination of those factors should inform what we do in that regard. And every time we pick up a spell book, my eyes are jumping to the text box just to hope and wish that it's the Ignite Poison that we're desperately dreaming of here. Ooh, another 5-headed Hydra. At least we've now realized that it's fairly comfortable to take care of one of these bad boys. I would like a wolf by my side instead of a hound, but take what we can get. There we go. We finally do get a wolf just before the end of the fight. Ooh, and see, this is where I start to get tempted already to be a bit more free with one of my hands in terms of curse here. We have willpower and we have one of the elemental resistances that we're missing. Oops, I should have known. Let's instead just block this son of a gun off, shall we? That should maybe help us explore around. No matter what, we will have to fight that 8-headed Hydra eventually here, especially since I would really enjoy getting that wand of acid. That's what it was. But okay. Beguiling and evocations. So beguiling, oh no, that was the conjurations hex, blah blah blah. If we get a good enough curse, we could rush up and try and buy those boots. Wow, we already have enough money. So it's definitely starting to ramp up to the point where that 130 isn't going to be quite as much of an investment on our part. Back, how are we doing? Pretty well. Gnoll model is still up and at 'em here. Definitely lacking a little bit in the resistance department. In fact, I should even take a look to just refresh myself at the condition of our character in general here. Yeah, looking just a little bit rough. But we do have 1 pip of willpower we can switch into, which again, doesn't seem that great now that I look at it. Definitely will require 3 by the time we get to anyone that banishes, or at least I would prefer, very much prefer, to have 3 by the time we get to that stage of the game. But there's still time. There's still time. And no real artifacts since we found the mace that has held us over the entirety of the run so far. So that's something to look forward to in the future. Okay, let's bring in a friend so that somebody's distracting the basilisk while we're turned to stone. Perfect. Ooh, this is interesting. No poison resistance probably means that I should leave this alone for now. But OTR makes this very tempting to fight because we will be able to take out most of these buddies relatively quickly. And I guess I should also, Gondikov, you mentioned that poly is also always an option for Hydras as well. That's very true. No, it's one of those things that I think I've kind of shuffled into a corner of my mind that says poly is never worth it. But at the end of the day, even besides the base level efficacy of it or even the face level issues that I have with it, it's always worth checking over what it has the potential to turn things into, because if none of the outcomes are significantly bad, like a single enemy that's powerful being changed into a Moth of Wrath, not that bad. Even if it's, you know, that's a higher hit die enemy that would normally be something quite scary in its original form. So that's one of the interesting slots where you're hoping that when you target a monster with poly, the options for it to change into are all things that are high powered or like would be found at a tougher part of the dungeon, but are in some way slightly easier to deal with. And it looks like we have swamp for our other branch here. If I had to guess, this looks like a branch entrance to me, which is too bad. I was hoping for somewhere where we could use our poison to slightly greater effect, but it is what it is, and we should be fine regardless, especially if we can get statue form up and running here. So let's take a peek. Ooh, down to 17%. That actually is good enough to start throwing in here. That took the D slot, did it? It did indeed. So let's take a peek and see what we change here. Rest off the contamination. Rest off the contamination. There we go. Bring us up to 34 AC, so that's much better. Do we lose the skilling? It's something that interests me. I guess we probably would, right? Because the effects are on the armor itself. So that's fascinating. For any potential replacements to our armor in the future, we may want to keep in mind that the ideal things to throw on them would be, I was gonna say like alchemy, or not alchemy rather, but what gives transmutations? Wait, does anything? I feel like something that we have gives transmutations and I'm just a fool here. Oh right, it is alchemy. Should have just gone with my initial thought. Never doubt yourself. That's not true. Always doubt yourself. Trust but verify. But that is just to say that it might be nice to switch those over to our armor. So the armor is just giving us the capabilities to cast statue form, and then otherwise we're not losing too much in the exchange. But all in all, it's probably just going to be a lot better in the long run to use statue form. It's better than a few little skill bumps to survive. Again, kind of threads that mild negative over the ending of an entire run. Relatively easy balance to make. Let's see, I guess I don't have to go in here yet. We can just safely assume that that is swamp entrance for the time being. And right, decide if we want to take on the bees, which we actually do now that we have statue form, of course. We do actually have a source of resistance to poison, so that makes it feel slightly better. Still have to worry about the smites from the melee, but still in a slightly better position there. Ooh, melee combat and elements as our next curse. And that's tempting. I think we're going to open our shopping list here. We're crossing our fingers that we can make it up to D7 before that changes. We should be able to, though. And let us spend some of this hard-earned cash on a nice pair of shoes. Put those bad boys on. And let's curse the heck out of them, because I'm happy to grab elemental and melee bonuses across the board. Melee bonuses being slightly less useful. We're very much at the stage where most weapons are at min delay. But elemental is awesome for our continued career as a spellcaster here. Let's head back down to Lair 4. Which is, I believe, where we were at. Indeed seems to be the case. And just the hive and scary part left. So let's go here, immediately start our statue form, and get going. A lot of killer bees, just a couple melee, but again, they're susceptible to poison here, so some OTR does just absolutely brilliant work, as we see everything's almost dead already. Even them pesky melee shouldn't last too long here. fact, with you next to us, I feel like, yeah, you have 33% chance to evade, so one hit would probably kill you. But let's just keep it up, shall we? Before any of these enraged bees cross the distance. And that should be just about good. Perfect. Very satisfying way to take out the entire hive there. Oh, I should have gotten rid of that exclusion too, so we didn't have to walk all the way around just to pick up all this stuff, but fantastic. A bunch of ambrosia, which may come in handy. Never know when I'm in full panic mode.